Do you ever see the inside of a shell, a nautilus? It never crosses its own path. It goes around and around and around, and it never once touches where it's already been. Every pass comes back on the outside, one chamber wider. I spent 13 months in a beach house learning that about myself. There's no weekend version of it, and I'm certainly going to tell you why. Welcome back. I'm Dr. Lisa. This is Science Back, Soul Supported, the Nez Zen community. We're on day 7 of Same Place, Higher Ground. And today we close the week, and I read the poem the whole thing was built on. All week I've handed you small things, one true sentence, 2 lines on a page, your own name out loud, the word yet. Every one of those is real, and every one of those is a tool. And today I have to tell you the truth about tools, which is that no one has ever assembled a life out of tips. Richard Tedeschi and Lawrence Calhoun at UNC Charlotte spent about 30 years on the question of whether people can genuinely change for the better by the worst things that happen to them. They named it post-traumatic growth. And what they describe is not cheerfulness, and it's certainly not a silver lining, but a structural change. A change in how people relate to others, in what they believe they can survive, in how much of an ordinary Tuesday they can actually feel. I want to be honest about the criticism because this channel is science-backed, and that has to mean something on the days when it's inconvenient. Most of this research asks people to report on their own growth after the fact. And there's a real argument in the literature that what gets measured is perceived growth, which can run ahead of the kind you could observe from the outside. So I'm not going to stand here and tell you the number is settled, but what survives that argument is the shape. And the shape is the whole point for today. Growth of this kind comes from the struggle afterwards, not from the event. It's slow, it's measured in seasons, and no one in that literature has ever found a version of it that fits in a 90-second video, including, I should say, this one. That's why the soundbite isn't good enough. Not because short content is worthless. You are watching some, but because a soundbite can hand you a tool and it can't walk beside you for a year. And a year is genuinely what it takes. So let me show you what a year actually looked like. I lived in that beach house for 13 months or thereabouts, minus the hurricane evacuation. And the poem I listed out because I wanted it on the record that this was not a revelation. It was a job. 15 trips to Goodwill, clothes, household goods, books I sold and donated, and Marie Kondo'd my life. Therapy, Reiki, meditating every single day, morning, night, and during breaks. Mindful walks on the beach with my insights arriving mid-walk and going into my notes on my phone. A daily writing practice where I challenged old beliefs and new ones, and honestly, everything. And this line, which is the seam between the two halves of the week, tempered joy, cautious optimism, isolation, and aloneness, turns to peaceful solitude. Same amount of time by myself, but completely different word for it. And that's what a year buys you. Here's the close, and I'm reading it as written. Healing's a process full of 2 steps forward, 1 step back, a pendulation between forward motion, regression, relationship recidivism, and release. And then at the end, even if the path winds around that like a chambered nautilus, that Fibonacci sequence, each time you return to the same place as before, you're at a higher level with more understanding and more compassion and more wisdom. That's the whole week in 9 lines. And that's why this theme is called Same Place, Higher Ground. You're going to come back around. You're going to stand somewhere you've already stood and feel the old feeling arrive with all its old furniture. And you are not on the circle you think you're on. A nautilus never crosses its own path. It comes back around the outside, one chamber wider every single time. So this is my request, and it's the only hard one I'm going to make this week. If you're in your own year of this, you should not be walking it alone. And that's the one thing every single day of this week has said in 6 different vocabularies. Book a call with me, free, 30 minutes. There's no pitch you have to sit through. Just bring me where you are and let's look at it together. The link's in the description and in the comments. And whatever you decide about that call, take the Nautilus with you. Same place is not the same place. Today's practice, it's one of the last one of this week. Think of one hard thing that you're standing in right now that you've stood in before. Write down one way you think you're handling it differently from the last time. Not better, but differently. You called someone, you slept, you didn't send the email at midnight. The difference is the width of your chamber. And that's what a year of this actually looks like from the inside. And it's almost never dramatic enough to notice without writing it down. That's day 7, and that's same place, higher ground. If you're inside your own year right now, book a call. The link's in the description and the first comment. It's 30 minutes and it's free. The whole poem is in Grounded in Chaos if you want to sit with it. If this week gave you one easier breath, help me pass it on. Like, subscribe, tap the bell, save it to a playlist, and drop a comment because I read every single one. Every share brings one more person into the Nezzen community. Thank you so much to all my subscribers. That's how we build this, one steadier day at a time. And next week we finish this month, and it's one about the joy. Science-backed, soul-supported. I'm Dr. Lisa for the Nezzen community.